2026. This meeting is now called to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Jacinto?
Here.
Mrs. Heinrich?
Present.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
I myself am here. President Lee?
I am here. Thank you. We have a quorum. We will now move to our next agenda item, and I am pleased to announce that we have some special guests here today. We have a classroom here, Mrs. Rhodes' classroom from Longacre. These are all second graders, and we have a Boy Scout with us as well, who are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, so here's how this works. Very important job. When we all stand, you're going to wait and you get to tell us when to start. As soon as you start saying the Pledge of Allegiance, all of us will follow you. We ready? All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was great. Thank you. That was the best rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance we have had in the entire 2026. So I want to thank you for that.
It is.
All right. Now, we will move to our next agenda item, which is the approval of the agenda. Yes.
I move that the Board of Education approve the January 20th, 2026 regular meeting agenda as presented.
Support. Motion made by Trustee Walker and supported by Trustee Smith to approve the agenda. Any comments? Discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing no opposition, that motion passes. We will now move to announcements. A few announcements. First, we had our second parent engagement meeting, maybe last week it was. Very good discussion. Mr. O'Brien was there to provide an overview of student supports. What we learned from that second parent group was that there's a lot of great stuff going on in the district, and it's really hard for parents and community members to really fully appreciate all that is available from the school district. So we've engaged those parents in getting their support and finding more ways to get the message out. Some of the suggestions were to and or board members at meetings that already exist across the district already, as opposed to separate sort of town halls, maybe communicating to the principals across each of our schools what information might be helpful to parents, because most of our principals issue regular communications to their parents, and most parents read those regularly. So we'll continue to noodle on that, but it was really, really great feedback. East teaming visit, we had a visit. Most of us were able to make that visit to East Middle School, where we were able to observe, we, meaning the Board of Education, were able to observe the teaming phenomenon, if you will, ourselves. And what I was most impressed with was the enthusiasm that I saw from the teachers on how this approach is really making a difference in terms of learning the students, noticing the students, and really developing that cohort feel. And it feels like it's a really great transition from elementary school to middle school, because they have this less of a bell effect and more of a community. So that was really, really great to see in practice. I know that some board members were also able to go to some of the lunch and learns at Central High School. I heard great positive feedback from that one. And also I think Beachview was last week as well. Thanks to those who were able to attend the Martin Luther King event at East Middle School last Friday. I also saw pictures of that event and want to thank everybody who was in attendance there. The National African American Parent Involvement Day is February 9th. I just learned of this, and I want to thank a very special principal for making that announcement. This was developed to strengthen the partnership amongst parents and the school, and I think that's really, really important. And we've been talking a lot about parent involvement and how important that is for purposes of student success. So I want to thank the district and especially our principals who are observing that day and really centering some activity around that day to generate more parent engagement. So thank you for that. We are getting some feedback and some concerns and some regular public comment from some folks around sex education. And I kind of wanted to just provide some information. The Michigan sex education standards were updated in November of 2025 to reflect more inclusive sex education guidance on topics including gender identity, sexual orientation, and other matters related to health. These changes are officially optional for districts, and they also provide, as do our current policies, provide for parent opt-out options. I want to make clear that Farmington Public Schools has made no updates to our sex ed policies. There have been no updates to our sex education curriculum. So if there were, we would make that announcement. We'd be very transparent about it. So I appreciate the concerns that have been raised to the board level, but I want to make sure that everyone is aware that the education standards that were updated by the state provided for optional updates to the curriculum, and that Farmington Public Schools have yet to make any updates to our sex education curriculum. That said, parents are still welcome to come in on their own and view the sex ed curriculum should they choose, and have the option to opt out of that again should they choose. So I wanted to be clear, there seemed to me to be a little bit of concern there, and I wanted to make sure that folks knew that we've made no changes. The Board of Education and the cities of both Farmington and Farmington Hills met last week. Phenomenal meeting. This was our joint cities meeting. We try to do these at least once annually. We did this last year. It was a great discussion. And what I was most pleased about this year was that almost all of the things that we talked about last year have been advanced. So kudos to Kelly Coffin and the rest of the administration for making such great advances on those. I've heard nothing but great feedback and just super positive feedback from both mayors and pro tems and all of City Council. So I'm really proud of the relationship that we're developing with our cities and identifying areas of collaboration moving forward. That's all very, very positive. The Board of Education spent half a day in a retreat. We spent all day Saturday from 9 to 3. This is our first of this year of 4 retreats that we will have. I appreciate the Board of Education investing that time. This is over and above the regularly scheduled Board of Education meetings we have. It's an opportunity for us to get to know each other better, to learn what moves and motivates us. As we all learn to appreciate that, it makes us more effective as a board. We also spend a lot of time digging into data and specific topics of interest to get a better understanding of what's going on across the district. For this past retreat, we discussed acceleration opportunities for all. We discussed a really great opportunity for some of our 8th graders to start getting high school credit, which I'm really pleased about. We talked about tutoring, school improvement plans, data for K through 5, and also the cadence for reporting. And I'm not sure if we have that slide up for everyone, but it occurs to me that folks don't necessarily appreciate the volume of data that we get and the time frame for when we get it. But there was a really great simple slide that helped to illustrate when the district receives data, what types of data it collects from January through December, and when that information becomes available to the board and when we will review it. So that was really, really helpful. It's up on the screen for those who are in the room, or I believe it's also being shared if you're watching televised. That brings me now to Board Appreciation. I want to say thank you to the Board of Education for all of their hard work and really for going above and beyond. I know that our meetings are one thing, but you guys are also showing up and being very vocal and active on committees. You're attending events, you're going to training, you're spending your entire Saturday with us 4 times a year. There's a lot of work involved in being a board member. I want to acknowledge all of the gifts in front of each of us, and I'm going to put these down in a minute so that I can work a little bit, but I was kind of rushing here. January, I'm just going to say it, January generally sucks to me. I mean, it's dark, it's cold. As an accountant, for me, it's, been busy season, for taxes and all of the things, 10Qs and 10Ks. But this part of January is like the best part of the month. Because, first of all, no one came here expecting gifts, but receiving a gift is kind of nice, I will say. So thank you to all of the schools that drew something for us, that made something for us, that created some, really thoughtful sweets and treats for us. It really brought a smile to all of our faces. And every year this is really special, and it feels like every year it just gets better and better. I appreciate the notes from individual second graders. I appreciate the banners and all of it. I wanted to take just a quick minute to express my personal gratitude to each board member here for their support, for their leaning in, for their listening. This is a well-functioning board, and I'm really proud to be a part of it, and I appreciate your confidence in me and each other. Trustee Smith, I appreciate your community feedback. I appreciate that you're constantly sharing information. I appreciate that you're one of the more visible members of our board, and I appreciate how often you're in attendance to community events and how you hold us all accountable. Trustee Racento, I appreciate you most of all for being the newest board member here. I cannot think of a better addition to this board than you. You have just been phenomenal. Hit the ground running. You're a wealth of information. I love how you share. I love that you're thoughtful in your sharing. I'm learning a lot from you, and I think each board member is. I greatly appreciate how fast you became a certified board member, having gone through all 9 of the courses in almost record time. And as a result, this board continues to be a certified Board of Education, which is not common in the state of Michigan. So that's an incredible achievement. I'm very proud that several years ago we became a certified board, and that Thomas Hull helped us maintain that status, and that you have done it again. Trustee Hull, I appreciate how you came to this board and just really became open to learning. I think that I'm really pleasantly surprised at how you've dug in. It feels like you've been here a long time, even though you just got here. So I really appreciate you leaning in. I appreciate the perspectives that you bring. I appreciate your voice. Trustee Blau, I appreciate your positive outlook on almost everything. That says a lot. It really is important to stay positive, because all of us have not had the best days, especially, being in service. So we appreciate the positive outlook that you bring to this board. I appreciate your efforts in leading us, and especially around community engagement. And to that end, thank you and Trustee Heinrich for starting our next coffee and conversation with the community on Saturday, February 28th, from 9 to 10 at Blue Hat. We'll make sure to get a communication out. But you are seriously just all about community engagement and reaching out to folks with differing opinions and views and perspectives and trying to get them together. Trustee Heinrich, I appreciate your attention to detail. You ask a lot of great great questions. I especially appreciate how you lead the finance and facilities meetings. I appreciate that you share information with the public and make sure that people understand that you are being thoughtful and thorough and vetting information as it gets presented to you. And you're sharing with the public, not just, doing the work and then, coming to approve it at the board meeting, but really making sure that voices are heard and that questions are being asked and that you're really paying attention to detail, and I appreciate that. Trustee Walker, I appreciate the great questions you have. I appreciate your zest for learning. It's very, very obvious that you are a learner and that you have really high expectations for all of our students. All of us really do. I appreciate your love and enthusiasm for CTE and your desire to have a pathway for all of our students. Dr. Coffin, we had a lot of great conversation about you just a few minutes ago when we were going through your evaluation. You've been a great addition to this district. I've been pleasantly surprised at how you've won over our cities, all of the great feedback that we get. I love how accessible you are to us, every one of us, and to our parents and to our community members. I think I'm really happy where you acknowledge where we have room to grow, and you're doing the work, and it's not just about talk for you. Mrs. Scripture, you are just a blessing. Yes. I think, we've said this before with previous executive assistants, and we thought that there were going to be some really large shoes to fill, but you must have big feet. You're just sweet and kind and everything that we need. I really appreciate you on behalf of the entire board. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you do. It does not go unnoticed.
Well, who's going to acknowledge what great work you've done?
There's no acknowledgement needed. I know I'm fabulous.
Meeting adjourned.
I do have something for each of you, though. I know that board service is tough, so I've made a coloring book for our Board of Education for your mental health. I hope that you appreciate this coloring book. I hope it provides you stress relief and anxiety reduction. Does everyone have a copy?
Yes.
Yes? Does everyone have a copy? Colleen, yeah. Because Colleen is page 1 here, so everybody knows. So I hope that you do that. And you also have coloring books, coloring markers I want to share with you.
President
guys.
Williams.
Colleen, yours is coming soon.
President
Yes.
Williams, while you're doing that, I want to say, it feels like Christmas here. I want to say thank you for many of people that are new here don't realize that President Williams and I are the long-lasting board members. You could just call us suckers. But anyway, we have been here the longest. Ms. Williams has been here 11 years. I'm going into my 10th. It feels like 12. But we have had board presidents that really didn't know how to hold the glue together. And I want to thank her not only as our president, but also as a personal friend, although many people don't think that we like each other. But Terry and I are very good friends. But I want to thank each and every one of you. You really don't know who's in your corner until you have someone in your family that's sick or that is suffering with something. And without going into detail, I want to thank each and every one of you for the personal conversations, for the prayers, calling me to make sure I'm okay. Because when a loved one is suffering, you're suffering as well. So I want to thank Dr. Coffin, that I call KC. Everybody knows I've been hard on superintendents, but this one has been a ride or die. And I thank you. And I thank you, Terry, for everything that you have done for me. Thank you. Thank you. And I thank all of you for the love and the support and the phone calls and prayers.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. With that said, I will move on to our next agenda item, which is, as a reminder, just a discussion on the superintendent evaluation. Just for purposes of this meeting, we had a meeting prior to this one where we discussed the superintendent. We met at 5 o'clock. We discussed the superintendent's performance, and we left that meeting with a rating of effective. That is the highest rating that a superintendent can be rated because of the changes in the way that the state of Michigan recognizes performance. I'm really pleased with that rating. I think it was pretty unanimous. We are very pleased with how the superintendent is moving us forward, and we want to see that continue. So with that, we will move now to public comment. This is, yes.
Hi, my name is Bree Schwartz. Can we clap?
Oh, absolutely. Because members, yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
Can I pause you just for a second? People who are watching from home cannot hear you. If you wouldn't mind coming to the podium. And so this is our time. We're moving into public comment, and it sounds like we've got some folks who would like to have something to say. If you would like to say something, please come to the podium so that folks in the audience can hear you. And when you come up, please say your name. Oh, we've got some students too?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
lots of
That's
students.
fantastic.
Oh, hi. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we
hi,
can hear
I'm Bree
you.
Schwartz.
Hi.
I have some friends I see and some familiar faces. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I'm a mommy here, and we're real active in the community in different pockets. But I have to say this group has been phenomenal. You have really blossomed. It's been fabulous to watch all the connections, and I think we feel it trickling down into the schools. So from the bottom of my heart, this is Evie, second grader. She's part of
Hi.
Mrs. Rhodes' phenomenal second grade at Longacre. And our crew, do you guys want to come on up for a picture? I feel like we should do a picture. Can we do a
I
picture?
feel like we should do a picture.
Yeah, come stand in the
That's
middle.
great.
Come stand in the middle, everybody.
That's
We're
awesome.
all really excited to be here. Come right in front.
Thank you guys for coming. This is our Pledge of Allegiance crew.
Come stand right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle.
And Mrs. DeBellis here, our amazing principal.
Hi.
You want to be in a picture?
Hey, why don't we just come out?
Yeah, let's stand.
We'll stand behind you.
I'm our secretary. I'll send it to all of you.
This is awesome.
Oh, my God.
These kids are going all out of their way.
All the things that we've done in the past. You got a hanger from school with our names on it. Plant the parade gave us, because I'm always one asking for stuff. So they gave us a hard hat with our names on
That's nice. Like,
Thank you.
it. So after you get, but we'll do is
All right. I am feeling really great. I am on a diet, so I will save this for
you can sit it
February
down here. I ain't
15th.
on no
No,
diet.
I may not have it. I'm going to save it. It's going to, yeah. Thank you. No. Okay.
this is the good chocolate.
At this time, we will call Bill Lubaway, and then we will call Sari Ram Karniti. I'm sorry. Sai? We'll call Sai. You will be second. Thank you. And these are the only other two public comment forms that I have. If anyone else wants to make public comment, please let me know, and we will call you next. Mr. Lubaway.
Okay. Farmington Schools Board and Superintendent met with our two cities last week. They covered a lot of interesting and useful information that should be shared with our communities routinely. Tonight I will speak on three topics. Home rule, which allows us to shape public schools that meet our needs, our loss of 25% of students over a dozen years, a comparison of two schools and how they dealt with impoverished students. And I'm going to be looking at pages 2, 3, 4. Home rule. Our community owns this school district. The board represents us and is accountable to us. This places a premium on excellent open dialogue. The superintendent is responsible for running the district and is responsible for achieving student growth and benchmarks set in collaboration with the board. Where goes enrollment? Student enrollment declined by 2,500 students over the last dozen years, even as the city's population increased by 5%. The district faces increasing competition from its neighbors. Is our academic achievement plan aggressive enough to meet, or better yet, beat the competition? Last topic, teach impoverished students. We found a couple of schools that will be of interest to you. They are 9 miles from here. Pembroke Academy is a charter school. It's ranked second among the top 100 public K through 8 schools, and that's according to the Mackinac Center. And its poverty rate is 92% compared to Farmington's 32%. Despite this 60% handicap, 62% of Pembroke's students read at grade level compared to 56% for Farmington. They beat us. Across the street, and drawn from the same population, is Bow Elementary, a Detroit public school. Bow Elementary's poverty rate is 91%, which is the same as Pembroke's 12%. 12% of Bow's elementary students read at grade level, which is 50% below Pembroke. This significant difference leads me to believe there is a major difference between the two schools that is most likely attributable to the charter school contract with its authorizing body as embodied in the management philosophy. Given that this is the start of our budget season, I suggest that Farmington Schools contract with our communities.
Thank you. Sai?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sai Karnati. I'm here representing the Hackbots. Just to give you some quick updates, we started our kickoff last week on Saturday, on January 7th, and we hit the road with QFD, Quality Function Deployment. We talked about our attributes that our robot must have and the scoring things that our robot must be able to do. And now, since we're in build season, we've completed our first week, and our schedule changed from Monday to Thursday to Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And throughout this week, we've done lots of prototyping to help us throughout our game season and keep us going forward. From a mechanical perspective, we've done various amounts of prototyping from the intake to our shooter and our hopper, trying to create a very good robot towards our season. And from a programming perspective, we've done various things, but the two main things that we've done are try to figure out our camera angles or optimal angles to see our field and be able to align with where we're trying to shoot, and try to figure out where we can go in our autonomous functions, as the first 20 seconds is auton and there's no human control over it. Last but not least, I would like to thank you all for the STEM facility that's about to be done at the end of the calendar year. Thank you very much for the STEM facility, as it'll help us with our future goals and making it a better place. And on behalf of our team, I would love for all of you to join us on our 2 competitions in Michigan at Jackson on March 21st and in April 4th at Livonia. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Just want to make sure I have that right. I have March 21st in Brooklyn, Michigan. Is that right?
In Jackson.
Okay, thank you for that. At Columbia Central High School, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that update. Next, we have Principal Crystal Ballard.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am here to just express gratitude on behalf of myself and the staff at North Farmington High School. You cannot have a strong school district or strong schools without a strong school board. In my short time of being here, I've just been impressed with your leadership, the way that you have shown up at events at North Farmington and community events. It's very remarkable to see an engaged and involved board. I ask our staff to share some words as it is School Board Appreciation Month, and the buckets that those words fell into were dedicated, essential, visionaries, and community. And 2 quotes I would like to share that came from the staff at North Farmington High School was, "Your leadership and dedication to North Farmington High School shows up in the small moments in my classroom, when students feel safe, supported, and inspired. Thank you for making that possible. We are grateful for all of your hard work and dedication to our students, staff, and parents. A strong board builds a strong community." Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm feeling uplifted. This is one of our better board meetings. All right. Okay, is there any further public comment? There is another opportunity for public comment after discussion items, but if anyone wants to speak now, you're more than welcome. Okay, seeing none, we're now going to move into sort of the meat of our board meeting. And so at this time, if there's anyone who wishes to dismiss themselves, feel free.
Some of them are still going to stay for.
Oh, okay, then I'll wait. I'm sorry, I'll wait till after the district updates. Let's move on to items from the secretary.
Yes. The board received communications regarding the Farmington High School IB Castle newsletter, the January 2026 edition. The board goal around strengthening community trust and stakeholder engagement, as well as district protocols related to ICE presence at school. The board acknowledges all communications and responds as appropriate. A list of correspondence is included in the board packet, which is available on the Farmington Public Schools website.
All right, thank you. And then legislative update?
Just 2 quick things. House Bill 4141 has passed through the House. That does, according to the bill, prohibit cell phone use at districts by the 26-27 school year. Expected to go to the Senate and then I guess seek swift approval before the State of the State address from the governor. On the federal side, again, just a reminder that they are still waiting on federal funding, working out things to try to avert the January 30th federal government shutdown. And that's it.
Thank you, Trustee Racinto. I know the cell phone thing is a huge one, so we'll be monitoring that one. Dr. Coffin will now move to district updates.
All right, thank you, President Weems. Tonight, my district update is really all about you guys, so we'll just keep it going. As we recognize you for your service to our students, to our families, our staff, and the entire Farmington Public Schools community. As we celebrate School Board Recognition Month, I want to take a moment to publicly and personally recognize the extraordinary leadership that each of you provide to the district. As superintendent, I have a unique vantage point from which to observe the countless hours of preparation, the difficult deliberations, and the unwavering commitment that you all bring to this table. I am incredibly proud to serve alongside a board that prioritizes the following: an unwavering focus on our learners and student achievement. You have maintained laser focus on improving outcomes for every student. The goals set by the board for the 25-26 school year, specifically the first goal, committed to strengthening student achievement oversight and accountability, communicates clearly your collective commitment to our students and student achievement, a mindset that supports and drives our entire administrative team towards excellence. Honor Board standard, President Weems had referred to this. Even with recent shifts in the membership, the board has remained committed to high standards of an honor board. Your ability to embrace new perspectives while maintaining a culture of collaborative governance is a testament to your professionalism. Visibility and connection. I see you. I see you in our hallways, at our games, and in our theaters. Your high level of visibility sends a powerful message to our staff and to our families that you are not just policymakers, but you are active champions for Farmington Public Schools. Your advocacy at every level. Your leadership doesn't stop at the district line. By representing Farmington Public Schools at the county, the state, and at the national levels, you ensure our community voice is heard, advocating for the resources and policies you know that our students deserve. Your sacrifice of service. The sheer time commitment required to govern a district of this caliber is immense. I am deeply grateful for the late evenings and the weekends that you choose to spend away from your own families to serve the families of FPS. The partnership between a superintendent and a board is the foundation of a healthy district. Thank you. Thank you for your trust and your challenge, your tireless commitment to the children of FPS. It is an honor and a privilege to lead this district alongside you. So we're going to go on now to some of the goodies. Each of the board members has a white flower bag. If you want to grab that out. In there you'll see some, I think, fun stuff from our cabinet. You'll recognize one thing for sure. So yes, a book. Most recent book, Brene Brown's Strong Ground. It talks about the importance of the people that we lead. And then, yes, you have a t-shirt that I think you also will remember. Almost a year ago, our IB students came and shared that it was important that we communicate to enjoy the difficulty. So you all now have your own IB-inspired t-shirt.
Oh, nice. This is great.
So yeah, some fun stuff.
I'll look at this a little bit. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now we're going to continue to make some time to continue to recognize not only your service, but the impact that you've had on our school community. And I think you see this out here. Tonight, each of our buildings, every single building has shared some sort of token of gratitude for your dedication and your service. Some have shared notes, gifts, banners, video tributes. Some delivered their gifts earlier, and others are here to share their gifts in person. So we'll go ahead and start. Ms. DeBella, if we want to start with Ms. Rhodes' class, come on up.
No, there's more.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Eliza Rhodes, and I'm a first-year second grade teacher at Longacre Elementary. And with me, I have a few of my students, Ragab, CJ, and Ava. And when asked to create a project to thank our Board of Education, I felt the most meaningful way was to do so by helping my students learn about your role within our community. So as a class, we read informational texts about the Board of Education, learned important details about your responsibilities, and wrote informative paragraphs to share our understanding. We also connected skills that you guys use in your work each day to a habit that we learn about at Longacre. We culminated our learning by creating self-portrait projects that highlight what we learned and reflect our appreciation. We hope you enjoy our projects, and we sincerely thank you for your service and dedication to our schools and students. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rhodes. Thank you. Next, Ms. Doreen Forster's here. She has a few words to say. Gifts to share.
Good evening. I'm Doreen Forrester, and I'm here from Visions Unlimited. You all have bags from Visions. I want you to know that all of those items in the bags are student-generated. Everything we do at Visions focuses around our students being able to share what they can do. It has a little Vision sticker on it.
There you go, yes.
Yes, thank you. So those are all from the students. We also have a poster over here for our students so that everybody could write you notes. We fit as many as possible on the board for you. So we really just appreciate you. We appreciate the support that you give to Visions and our students. We know that our program would not be as successful without all of the care and dedication that the school board has shared with us. So thank you so much. It means the world to us to have your support.
Thank you so much, Ms. Forrester.
All right, so now, let's take a moment, sit back and relax, and we'll be able to view a handful of videos that were created specifically to celebrate you.
Coming to you live from the Forest Lobby. It's time for our favorite part of the week. Forest Rockstar Spotted. Students who rock kindness, responsibility, and respect. But this week, something very strange is happening.
Strange like wearing your shoes on the wrong feet?
No, not that.
Strange like putting ketchup on pancakes?
Ew! That is strange, but not that.
It's strange because this week's Forest Rock Stars are not in kindergarten, not in first grade, not even in fifth grade.
What? This week, our Forest Rock Stars are, drumroll please, grown-ups. This week's Forest Rock Star Spotted is our very own Farmington Public Schools Board of Education.
Wait, do they wear capes?
No, maybe not, but they are school superheroes. So what does the Board of Education do, you might ask?
They're a team of helpers who make big choices so our schools are safe, fun, and ready for learning.
They help make sure we have great teachers, buses, learning supplies, lunches, and buildings that don't fall down.
That's very important. We like buildings that stay up.
They work even when you're asleep,
Even when you're at recess.
even when you're deciding what snack to eat.
And they do it because they care about you.
Because of them, our school community continues to grow, learn, and of course, rock.
So this week, we're giving a big Forest shout out to the
FPS Board of Education,
our very own Forest Rock Stars.
Let's give them a huge Forest Elementary round of applause.
Thank you for all you do for our schools.
You really do rock. We appreciate you. We think you are great. We appreciate you. Yeah, you're really great. You make us so happy with the things you say and do. Oh, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. We think you are neat. We appreciate you. Yeah, you can be beat. You make us so happy with the things you say and do. Oh, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. We think you are cool. We appreciate you. Yeah, you really rule. You make us so happy with the things you say and do. Oh, we appreciate you. Yes, we appreciate you. Oh, we appreciate you. Thank you, Lord.
Who was that from?
Beachview.
Beachview, okay.
This is Joe, go back to the North Farmington. Yeah.
You want me to?
So,
These are from North Farmington.
yes. So this was created by the North Farmington staff as a way to, what exemplifies your leadership. And so Ms. Ballard spoke a little bit, but just to know you have a copy of that. And they appreciate you. Tremendous. Thank you. All right, that concludes my update.
Well, that was great. Thank you. We appreciate all of that. This is, it's nice to be appreciated. And we obviously are very passionate about the work that we do. And we appreciate all of the staff that work here at Farmington Public Schools. So from us to you, thank you. And clearly, students make it all happen. So we also really love and appreciate every student as well. So with that, we can move on to the budget update.
Yep. So thank you. I'd like to welcome Ms. Jennifer Kaminsky, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, to the podium to present the first budget amendment for the 2025-26 school year.
All right, good evening. So again, this is the first budget amendment for 25-26. And I would like to start off looking at our blueprint for the district. So this design blueprint shows how all of the pieces of our educational system work together to support students. So it starts with our goals and guiding concepts. We have community context at the bottom, school system and elements, which all form to provide those student experiences. And so you'll notice budget and operations highlighted in orange there. And really just to show that the budget as well as the operations really support every other element within the system. So even though you may not see where that money is being spent, it is behind the scenes supporting technology and infrastructure, our student curriculum, instruction, and assessment, as well as those student learning experiences. So just wanted to start off with that to connect how we fit into the system. So looking at what's happened since July 1st of 2025. So when we started our fiscal year, there was no budget approved by the state. And this year, it took all the way until October 7th for a budget to be approved. So 3 months into our fiscal year, a budget was finally approved, and the state had to do a continuation budget to keep things moving at that point. So what they released at that time was a foundation allowance increase of $400 per pupil. So we had included originally a $200 per pupil increase. There were some new 27L one-time funds allocated, one to increase educator compensation, and the other to help offset some of the costs associated with retiree health benefits. They significantly increased that MIPSR's UAAL categorical revenue, and that's used to essentially fund the unfunded portion of the retirement system. And then our enrollment decreased slightly instead of remaining flat as we had projected in the original budget. So looking at the dollar amounts for some of the items and their impact on our revenues. So on the local revenue side, our tuition revenue decreased about $71,000, and that's mainly due to less tuition paid preschool programs and more of those classrooms being qualified under the Great Start Readiness Program, and so funded through the state. We did decrease our interest revenue about $300,000. Now that rates have started to come down slightly, that interest revenue will also decline. And we had an increase in local grant funds of about $285,000. And that's really, you've heard about the MUI projects and Mitten that are supporting some of our schools. So some of those dollars have been included. On the state revenue side, so we had that increase in state aid revenue of about $1.2 million. And again, that's the difference really between the $400 that we received and $200,000. And then because we did decline, there was some enrollment stabilization revenue that we are receiving in the current year. That's about $391,000. As I mentioned, we had a significant increase in that UAAL revenue, so about $3.9 million. And those revenues, we also have to record as an expense, so that drives up our overall retirement cost as well. And then we did lose the MIPSR's 147A offset dollars, and those were essentially monies that we received to help offset other, portions of the retirement cost. And so we lost $1.4 million. So as I mentioned, we received 22L. There were two parts to that funding. The L2 educator compensation was about $1.3 million. and that we have been working collaboratively with our bargaining unit groups, talking about how to disperse those funds. And so that should be settled in the near future. And the other, the 22L4 retiree health care costs of $1.2 million. So if you recall, all employees, not all employees, but there were a lot of employees who continue to pay that 3% health care fund cost. When that was eliminated, for employees, the state had indicated that if they did need additional funding on the health side, that the districts would be responsible for paying that. And so there was an increase due to, on the healthcare side. And so this is one-time funding, $1.2 million to help offset that increase in the current year only. So we had an increase in Great Start Readiness program funds of $571,000. Again, that's the free preschool for all program that the state has in place. In order to qualify for GSRP funding, it is a 5-day program for at least 4-year-olds. So we also had an increase in our 31A at-risk funding of about $676,000. And again, 31A dollars have been supporting instructional coaches, math specialists, literacy paras. We're going to be looking at a pilot program to help support reading at grades 2 through 4, an intensive reading program, and other things that we're currently working on together. We did have a decrease in 22I transportation funds. A few years ago, the state started funding us with general ed dollars or funds to help support the general ed side of transportation, and we did see a decrease this year. We had a decrease in special education funds, just under $500,000, and that's really, in the current year, we have less of our Section 53 students, so a decline overall. And then we also had a decrease in other state categorical payments and state grants of about $650,000. Federal revenue, overall decrease in federal grant funds of about $1.1 million. So we did have a decrease in title funds, and that's Title 1, 2, 3, and 4 of about $700,000. Although we did find out today that our Title I funding increased significantly. So that number will change in our second amendment, which will occur in June. We will have a decrease in Head Start funds, as this will be the last fiscal year that we run a Head Start program. And so we do have things in place to continue to help support those families. We're looking at using Title I funds to make sure that we can still support those 3-year-olds that may need additional services. We had an increase in our IDEA flow-through funds of about $124,000. On the inter-district revenue side, we saw an increase in our PA-18 funding from Oakland schools of about $250,000. And again, that's really to disbursement of one-time funds based on their fund balance protocols. And then we saw a decrease in the indirect cost transfer from the Nutrition Services Fund of about $55,000. And again, that's based on the costs in that fund. So just looking at some of the largest revenue items within the general fund, you can see the state makes up 59% of the revenues. So our foundation allowance, those state categoricals, as well as other grant funds. On the local side, there's 29% of our revenue. Property taxes make up the majority of that amount, and that's also interest, Medicaid funding, as well as preschool tuition. And then we receive about 8% through those PA-18 special education dollars received through Oakland schools. General fund expenditure side, so these are some of the increases and decreases that are contained within the budget. So we have revised all of our salary and benefit numbers based on actual staffing in place. We did see that significant increase in retirement expense of $3.9 million. That's the amount I mentioned in the revenue side as well. We had that decrease in federal grant expenditures of approximately $1.1 million. So again, federal revenues are budgeted to equal federal expenditures, so they do not have an impact on the bottom line. We had an increase in state grant expenditures of approximately $1.25 million, again, due to the GSRP and 31A at-risk funds. We have an increase in instructional materials for some of our textbook adoptions in the current year, an increase in maintenance and operations, as well as transportation for capital purchases. So we have purchased several vehicles this year, and we have 4 of those additional vans on order currently. We saw an increase in intergovernmental payments due to higher tuition costs for those special ed students attending other center programs, and then we've revised any other lines based on current known factors. So overall, our expenditures are greater than our revenues. So $181.5 million in revenues, $184.9 million in expenditures. So we are using about $3.4 million of fund balance in the current year. Again, that brings us to about a 21.1% fund balance. So still way above the board's targeted fund balance range. We did start off the year, the original budget was projected to use about $4.7 million. So we are in a better spot than we originally thought. Then other funds that were also amended, nutrition services, that accounts for all of the activities associated with providing meals, our Building and Site 2023 Capital Projects Fund for those bond projects, and then our Benefit Stabilization Fund, which pays for all of the costs for health, dental, vision, life, and long-term disability benefits. So just some of the future unknowns that we are currently facing. So state funding, again, as we think about next year's budget, what will that foundation allowance be? Mental health, safety, and security funds, will those continue into the future? Again, I mentioned a lot of one-time funds that we're receiving this year, so those are not budgeted to move forward. And then whether those funds will be restricted or unrestricted. So the state economy, last Friday, the revenue estimating conference was held, and it did reveal that overall, the state as a whole's budget will be down about $1.1 billion. If you look at the two separately, the decline is really on that general fund side. State aid fund is still increasing slightly. However, we know that when the state looks to balance their general fund, a lot of times they come to the school aid fund or change funding structures to accomplish that balancing. So we'll have to pay attention to that. On the federal economy side, as I mentioned, Head Start, has a lot of changes. We will not be running that program moving forward. IDEA funds, and then the Title I, II, III, and IV, there has been some talk about eliminating some of those title monies. So we'll just have to pay attention and make sure we factor that in. National School Lunch and Breakfast, as those dollars decline at the federal level, that will put more pressure on the state to have to pay more. And then enrollment projections. We're currently reviewing that student enrollment data this year. looking to see where those declines occurred, as well as we'll be working with a demographer to project future enrollment for the next 5 years. So next steps, again, we can continue to focus on our instructional priorities, making sure we're funding to support that innovation and student learning. We'll develop an initial 26-27 budget, so we'll develop those budget parameters and assumptions that will be presented to the board in March. We'll also generate forecasts for the following 2 years to make sure that we are remaining fiscally stable. And then we'll look forward to the governor's budget, which will be released and presented in early February. And that is it for the first budget amendment. I can answer any questions.
Trustee Blau?
I just wanted to clarify for the community about why we're not having a Head Start program next year. It's not because we don't want to.
Correct. So on the Head Start side, I'm not sure if it's the federal government made the changes or if that was something within the state, but in order to qualify to run a Head Start program, as we have run in the past 20 years, we have our own employees, we provide all of those services to the students. You had to service 60 or greater students. And currently, we don't have that number of students in Head Start. Again, that's for 3-year-olds who are at risk. And so we decided, based on the model that we would have to follow, that we wouldn't be able to necessarily pick our staff to run those classrooms and support the children. And so that's why we're looking to use Title I dollars, which will work in the same manner to help support 1 or 2 classrooms that we currently run.
So we can still support the students of that age who have the need.
Correct.
For that kind of program at that age. We just won't be taking the Head Start dollars because we won't be able to satisfy the requirement that we have at least 60 students.
That's correct. Yep.
Trustee Heinrich?
Yeah, the longer I'm on the board, the more I appreciate the work that you do, so I just want to thank you for that. You went over this on the Finance Committee and asked a lot of questions, but just one thing that I want to point out is, as a board, we're really focused on student achievement and how our initiatives and things are tied to student achievement, and every time we ask to see how funds are tied, instead of saying, yeah, we can't really do that, you say we're thinking about it and we're trying to figure out ways in order to, report on that, because we know that money is being spent. And so I really just want to appreciate your willingness to look at providing that information to the board in the future, along with all the other work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Trustee Smith?
Ms. Kaminsky, thank you for all the work that you do. It's not easy looking at the dollars and the cents and figuring out where we need to spend, how we should spend if we make these cuts. I'm glad that you were able to share that with the community about the Head Start program, as Dr. Blau brought up. That's important for the community to know that we are not removing anything, and this is not something that this board wants to do and take lightly. But I want to thank you, and I appreciate everything that you have done and how you have, you and President Weems, that CPA stuff is amazing. You leave the visiting community stuff to me. But that part right there is, you're spot on with what you're doing. And thank you for breaking it down in layman's terms so people won't be intimidated by your report. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, I appreciate everything that you said, Trustee Smith, and acknowledge that I also appreciate the way you break it down for all of us, because we're all certainly more than qualified to review the finances of our district. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions, I think we can move on to our next agenda topic.
Before we go there, I think we have one more video.
Oh.
So.
Oh.
A little bit overwhelmed,
nice.
so we gave
Okay.
you a break.
Okay.
Here we go. Hillside.
Thank you, Ms. Smith, for all you've done for us. Thank you, Vice President Walker, for making our school great. Thank you, President Dean. We appreciate you. Thank you for making our school great. Thank you, Secretary Blau. Thank you, Treasurer Heinrich. Thank you, Mr. Zento. Thank you, Mr. Hall. We appreciate you.
Thank you, school board. Here's a song for you.
Thank you. What a wonderful end to your presentation. Thank you. With that, we will now move to reports from board committees.
Finance and Facilities Committee met on January 16th in order to review the first budget amendment that Ms. Kaminsky just presented to the school district, and that was our only topic.
Okay. All right, thank you for that report. We can now move on to discussion items. We have one discussion item for today, and it is around prioritization of board policy topics. I want to thank Trustee Walker in advance for the work that he's done to develop this sort of review for us, as we have talked about a few times, and what we didn't have time to get to in our retreat was we have a number of topics that have come to this board this year and over past years, and there is no way for us to address 20-plus policy-related items in a year's time. So what we wanted to do was talk through some of the things that have come to our attention through various members of the board and from the public, and try to figure out some sort of consensus on what we would recommend to the policy committee we focus on over the next year or two. That said, that doesn't mean that other topics aren't important. It's just trying to prioritize what we want to get done this year, and then over the next few years, we'll continue to tackle. As you know, there is a load of work involved in school district operations and in policy, and it's impossible to do everything, but we can continue to prioritize. And as new things come up, the policy committee will need to determine how it reprioritizes, right, as we identify things that maybe surface as more important. With that said, the policy committee is already busy in terms of responding to and being attentive to rule changes that are required by law and those that are recommended to us by our attorney. And so that's what's been coming to the board over the past couple of months. But we also want to be very proactive and think through how we might, one, support the district in its innovations. Are there policies that we need to address in order to facilitate innovation? Are there policies that we want to address that support academic achievement, that support equity, those sorts of things? And so with that, I will turn it over to Trustee Walker. Thank you.
Thank you, President Weems. And mentioned before, what I wanted to do as the chair, as we think about policy, both in the immediate and for tomorrow, is put together something of a framework. We've talked on numerous occasions about how do we leave systems here for persons who come behind us, and how do we create the best systems that we possibly can for people to make decisions. And as it relates to policy, this is a very critical area where we create the guide rails, as it were, for the district. And we want to make sure that we have something of a framework that we can all agree upon to be able to do this work in a way that best sets up the district as a whole, thinking about students and working our way back through. So when we talk about the purpose of this framework, as you can see here, we're looking for a consistent approach. Approach to policy shouldn't be something that's willy-nilly back and forth based on a lot of emotion. We need to think about it very consistently. We need to think about it in terms of equity and accountability. We need to think about it in terms of strengthening governance, but not for the purposes of having an iron hand, but for, again, creating guardrails where they are needed. Dr. King once said that laws are for the lawless or for the heartless. And when we think about policy and the rules that we put into place, we want to think about it also from that perspective. For the individuals who may get into our district in some way, shape, or form, who don't mean our district well. And so we want to think about that too as a part of the framework, getting back to a consistent approach. And of course, excuse me, as mentioned, continuous improvement. We want to build systematic review cycles into this on a regular basis so that there's a cadence for looking at it and we don't become overwhelmed. And so why it matters, we've talked about this on a number of occasions, and I'll move through this as quickly as possible. It's a governance tool. It's there for protection, as I mentioned, direction and guardrails, but also transparency. If our rules are there, if we thought our rules through, if our framework is solid, people can look at it and they can anticipate where we're going to go, or they'll know where we're going before we even get there. And then when we arrive there, that builds the trust that we're always so desperately looking to build with our district. In thinking about it, and as Trustee Weems mentioned earlier, I have a CTE lens to me, and I think about that. So when I think about policy, I also think about why grades 6 through 12 require a little special attention around it, because those are the grades that are moving a child or a student towards that next phase of life, whether it's employment, whether it's post-secondary education. So there are different things impacting that group of student that isn't necessarily impacting K through 5. So again, we can't think about our student population homogeneously. We really got to think about it in terms of this, what is going to happen to that particular group when we're thinking about a governance model. So we identify the need when we talk about creation. If we're going to come up with policy, what's the need? Is it a legal compliance or requirement? Do we have data trends or gaps in our data along the way? What is really going to be helpful to the work that we're doing and will do is all of the data information that we receive from Dr. Coffin and her staff. Those dashboards are critical, as you'll see in another slide, to helping us understand where and how we shape our policy in terms of creation or refinement. Programmatic expansion, and certainly, as mentioned by President Weems, community and or student concern. So it's now this is an area that I'd like to see us be able to do more effectively, and as chair, that's going to be my commitment to the policy committee, that we ground our decisions in district data. We're making sure that we go back and reflect on that as we're thinking about modifications, improvements, recommendations from our attorneys. We also are looking at state and federal requirements. Like we have a cell phone policy in play, but we just received new information about that cell phone policy, within the last week, I think it was? And so now we have to go back and reflect on that as it relates to what our district is capable of doing or what we're required to do. What are the best practices? There's nothing wrong with looking to other districts to see what they're doing and how they're doing it, and if it works for them, could it possibly work for us as well? And of course, in all things, equity, access, those considerations. This is very important to me, very simply, that we have to have stakeholder engagement. I think we get into trouble, when I say we, meaning leadership in general, gets into trouble when it starts to make rules, regulations, policy, and it doesn't take into consideration the people who are impacted by those rules, regulation, and or policy. So I started this about a year or so ago. I want to figure out a way to more formalize this, but when we have policy that's coming up, figure out a way to get administrators involved and hear their voice as it relates to it, if the policy specifically impacts them especially. Educators, our teachers, staff, they're the ones who have to enforce the policy. What good is policy if we can't enforce it? Then it becomes a rule that just gets broken on a regular basis, and our credibility diminishes over time. Students, we've talked about that. I'm very excited to be able to meet up with Student Roundtable. I believe it's on February 6th. That they're going to be meeting at here, if I'm not mistaken, to start getting their voice involved in policy as well. And I know this can be a tender area, but I do believe that we should figure out a way to bring our community and families in on policy, because again, they're the ones that are impacted by it as well. And if we can do all of this in a way that works, and there are other districts that are actually doing this kind of work, then I think we build ourselves a greater system of trust with our community. So again, draft with clarity, purpose and scope, proper language, avoid operational detail. We do not, and I want to say this publicly, I do not want the job of the superintendent. That's all yours, Dr. Coffin, okay? What we want to do is set you up for the best situation to be able to do your job and to know how to do your job effectively. And then clear roles and expectation. So when we talk about review and assessment, these are questions I want us to start asking as it relates to policy. Is it aligned to our district goals? I don't know that we've ever really asked that question when we talked about revisions and updates. We certainly have asked, is it legally compliant, but that would respond to new policy that we would create. Is it clear and enforceable? That's a big one. Again, I think we've created some policy at times that isn't always enforceable, or we didn't think through how are the teachers, the administrators, whomever, supposed to put the policy in play. Is it equitable in its impact? That has always been the bane of a lot of institutions where policy has been put in place and a certain group felt the brunt of it more than others. We want to always be mindful of that. And is the implementation, going back to enforcement, consistent? So these are tools, as I mentioned before, that I think are very, very important that we can begin to figure out how to utilize. That is a part of my commitment to the committee, bringing in the dashboards as it relates to the policy, equity impact reviews, again, staff and administrator feedback, and community and student voice, where and how we can bring this in over time, not just looking to flip a switch and all of a sudden it comes flying in. Want to do it intentionally with some direction and with care. This is a suggested improvement cycle that we can begin to implement. It lends itself, it's more a visual representation, I believe, of the diagram, President Weems, you put together for us with marking policy off as we go along. We can bring those two tools together to make sure that we see what we've covered, we look at what we're going to cover, and we get into a cycle of doing it every 3 to 5 years, going back and checking policy that we've already checked. And that takes us to the deliberation or discussion, I should say, around the prioritization. When we think about that, as we have our discussion today, I want us to do our best to think about the things that I just shared as we think about what would be those priorities that you would like for the policy committee to take a look at throughout the rest of this year. I'd like to see, if I am allowed to be the chair for the upcoming school year, create a little more intense cadence when it comes to policy, meet a little bit more frequently because of the amount of work that's involved with that. I would definitely be committed to that if, certainly as a member and or chair. But these were the policies that were given to us from President Weems. a little while ago. And what I decided to do, just for the sake of conversation today, is I went through our policy handbooklet, and I wanted to see where we had policy that already spoke to some of these items. That's what you see in terms of the numbers at the end of each one of these items. That doesn't mean we can't go back and look at it again to see if, based on conversation, this is something we need to review. But it was nice to see that in every instance, we either had policy or, and here's how we want to stay out of the day-to-day, some of these things are already underneath administrative regulations. So we don't even need to, according to our policy, that's at the purview now of the superintendent. So we can back up off of that and focus our attention in areas where it would be most, specific for us to do so. So with that, as a closing slide after this, we can begin to have discussion right now. As you look through this list, you've had this available to you for a little while. Is there something in the list of potential policy agenda that immediately grabs your attention that we might want to begin to prioritize? And again, thinking about the framework, equitable, based on data we already know. What's the angle? What's the concern? We'll get those things recorded. I'll check back with you, and we'll compile that list, and then the policy committee will go to work in that regard. I'll pause. Trustee Blau?
This might be premature because I know we're still in the process of reimagining what we want our high schools to look like, but I'm wondering what we might need to modify in our policies around graduation requirements and what satisfies what. For example, we've had some conversations around finding additional ways in which students could earn credits toward graduation, like, and maybe band already counts as PE, but maybe if you participate in one of the musicals, that could count toward a fine arts credit, or if you do community service every Sunday at your congregation, that could count as some kind of work-study credit. All of those things. Are there places in our policy where we need to change the languaging to allow for that? Or am I putting the horse before the cart? Do we need to make our changes first and then change policy? I'm not sure, but that's one area that, that comes up for me.
If I might, I don't know the answer to that, but that is certainly like top of mind for me. There may not be a need to make changes to the policy, but I think if we're really serious about reimagining high school, I would think that this discussion, along with likely many others, ought to be sort of prioritized in our thinking around board policy. Personally, it's been on my list for a while to give some consideration to where courses or activities might count towards graduation requirements. The one I've proposed a number of times is sports, and whether that can count for physical education as an example. I would love to explore those types of things in order to free up a student schedule, frankly. I'm learning, especially with having 3 in high school recently, including now, how important it is and advantageous it is really to get a lot of those graduation requirements completed early, or alternatively, in order to free up a student schedule to allow them to explore more in the CTE space and figure out what they want to do when they graduate. I think that will also free them up as we start thinking about this senior year, second semester alternative. If they have the ability to free up their schedule earlier on in their high school, that will afford them the opportunity and make reimagining high school a lot easier. So I'm all for that in terms of of this list, taking that one and throwing it in the list of things that would prioritize. Another area for me, I'm sorry, go ahead before you lose your thought.
I really like the fact that we took the time to do this and put me in a position to do this as well, because with those kinds of things and those conversations in mind, if you see about 1, 2, 3 bullets from the bottom and the middle column, physical education requirement, i.e. band, we have some general policy already around just such things, and as well as an administrative regulation as it relates to students and curriculum and instruction. The nice thing about it is we don't have any policy that will keep us from being able to do that. It's nice, general, guardrail-ish, to create a whole new word, and will allow us some flexibility. Now we would just need to look at what are the state laws and requirements around something like that, and we can get off and get going with it. So this is the kind of exercise, so we can green light that one if that is the board's choice.
Ms. Heinrich and I are going to Washington, D.C. for the NSBA, National School Board Association Equity and Advocacy Conference. I swear this is just tea. And we might meet some others there from other parts of the country who are already doing these kinds of things. So we'll bring back information
That would be helpful.
from that.
Yeah, the other area that I would prioritize, just based off of what I see and from what I hear from other parents, is the Behavior Culture Handbook. And we've talked about that one already. I think that in order to facilitate a good learning environment, we already know that distractions aren't helpful. And I personally want to make sure that, we understand how we address those kinds of things properly. I'm not saying that we don't address them properly, but I do think that particularly since COVID, we've noticed an increase sometimes in young people in how they react to certain things. Frankly, adults have increased their reactions as well, and so I think that there's an opportunity for us there. Those are my personal priorities. I think Mrs. Heinrich, did you have something?
Yeah, no, I just want to, I'm just like looking at this list. First of all, I appreciate the framework and the work you're doing.
Thank you.
I appreciate having this list to choose from. And I'm hearing graduation requirements, phys ed requirements, or getting credit, not necessarily phys ed, but different types of credit through different activities. So I don't know if we want to say alternative forms of credit, or just looking at as far as how credit is assigned. And looking at some of the things that they're doing over at Farmington Central High School right now, as far as combining courses and looking at the Common Core standards and how credit is applied through multiple disciplinary courses. And so if there's policy needed to support that as we're reimagining high school, I think that should be a real big priority.
Mm-hmm.
You have on here the drug search policy, middle school, high school, but I think drugs, tobacco, alcohol, vaping, all of those, the schools should be free of those. And I think it's really important to have policies and have that stand out so that we make sure that those things are not brought into our schools, are not available to our students at school, and supporting whatever it takes in order to make sure that our schools really are drug-free, alcohol-free, tobacco-free zones. And so put that in there. So those are just kind of priorities that stand out for me. And also, this one, I really like the fact, the notification prior to a student receiving a D or F grade. I mean, this is something that, this goes back to when my kids were in high school. One of my daughters was getting an A at progress reports, and the report card came out, and the grade changed drastically, and talked to the teacher, talked to the principal, and there was no guidelines, no policies or whatever. So, I think having a lens and holding, just making sure that the schools are involved as far as the administrators and the teachers and the culture, just to have standards in place so that those things don't happen. Because that's kind of for parents that monitor what's going on with their kids, and to have those kind of surprises, especially their senior year, when scholarship money and other things are tied into grade points, it's like the no surprises. So I think that should be something that should be prioritized and looked at, as far as we're picking some. So those are kind of my top.
Yeah, that's an important
Yeah,
one, too.
and the food allergy, too. I mean, I think that's really a big deal. I mean, and it's just, it can be a matter of life or death for some parents on whether or not they, if their child is exposed to things at school. So I think having guidelines, I know some buildings have more strict guidelines than others, but as far as district-wide, I think that should be a top asterisk one in my mind.
Thank you. Mrs. Smith and then Mr. Hall.
Thank you for all the hard work that you put into this. As a board member that's been here for a while, I have been on policy for a long time, and Ms. Weems and I were able to condense it from being the tablets down to pretty much just little minute things. We have talked in the past about having students sit in as reps for our school board. I, at one time, thought that was a great idea because as a traveling board member going throughout and holding the position as Oakland, I used to be on the Oakland School Board of Directors, and I would go visit different schools, and I do see students that did sit on boards, but it has a negative input as well. The negative is, just like we get attacked, those students would get attacked and I've had those conversations with students. So I want you to understand, I'm not against that, because we do need to hear what the students have to say. We don't need the helicopter parents that'll tell them, you're sitting on the board and we need you to do this, that, and third. But we also need to pay attention to what can happen to our students. We already have bullying. We are elected. We are not an entity that is a private or parochial where people just go and put, just because you pay a huge amount to your alumni that you're sitting here. We worked hard to get these positions. So at the end of the day, I would love to see a student here, but I don't want the student that has a parent that feels that they would be running, but I don't want that student to be bullied, that they sit and hold a seat here, which they do not get to vote, because we are government. I don't want to see a student that sits here, and if they need a snow day, their friends pressure them, or they talk about having open campus, which I'm not against that. But I don't want a child, because they are children, to be put in a position that they are bullied or pressured, not only by their peers, by parents too, that are not allowing their students to be students. So at the end of the day, and I don't want any parent to think, because we just had Hackbox here, great group of kids, but we explained to them that room, myself and Mr. Hall made sure we said that was going to be a multi-purpose room. It is not a STEM or STEAM. And I've heard that in the community, and I heard it yesterday. We built a building, we're building a building for them, and we are not. So at the end of the day, let's be very careful. Let's think this through about adding a student to our board, because we all worked hard to get elected to hold these seats. That's my only comment.
Mr. Hall.
So we're concentrating on are we more or less start concentrating on a student, how they're following the rules, or are we looking at personnel, as in how the staff, how the teachers, how they supposed to conduct themselves, in which that they can put in the best position for our young people to learn from? Because we always harp on the kids, and everything like that, but sometimes, I don't know if I should say this, but sometimes parents need more work than the kids. You know, and with that in mind, the adults, some teachers, some staff members, you know, when you come into a building, you know, are we greeted, you know, like, you know, coming into a nice environment, or, you know, do I have a safe adult to go to? Or are my kids or when a kid comes in out of whatever situation that they have at home, are they coming into a welcoming environment? Or are they coming in just getting yelled at again? So I think that a level of expectation and professionalism and culture that needs to be put in place for the adults so we can permeate it throughout the school, and then it'll just thrive throughout the whole system. So I don't know if that's part of the policies and agenda. I mean, I don't know if you could say every person must be cheery and full of blossoms and everything like that, but some type of standards in which that if they detect something, you know, to be welcome, just like a culture.
So everybody's comment, and I thank you for all of them, and we can go back now and at least have a starting point for some discussion at our next policy meeting, which I believe is next month on the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. That'll give us a jump-off point for that. But everybody's comment, and I'm feeling very good about this, supports the reason for the framework. Because all of your concerns, if we factor your thinking and your concerns and your questions through the framework, we have to examine it in the ways in which you brought up those concerns across the board. So if it was whether or not we consider adding a student rep to the Board of Education, well, do we want to make that decision in a vacuum? No, we need to maybe have some conversation with students. Do we need to have some conversation with parents around that before we enact something like that, for all the reasons, Trustee Smith, that you mentioned along the way? When we talk about the graduation requirements, is that anything that we need to do at a board level, or is that something that is done specifically at the superintendent level, and it becomes maybe a goal that we put together for the superintendent in an upcoming year? Because remember, when we put policy together, when we put something into policy, we now increase the difficulty and maneuverability around it. So that means, for example, if we put in the policy that a student was on the school board, and for whatever reason the student is absent or something along those lines and wants to decline, or we want to get rid of that position, now we have to have a vote on it. Whereas maybe that's something that goes in as a protocol, or maybe that's just something that we figure out another way in which to do it. Everything doesn't need to have a policy. Some things need to have a protocol. Some things are already being handled in terms of administrative regulation. Again, we do not want to get in the way of the superintendent and what she's doing with her team. All we want to do is create the best, to your point earlier, Trustee Hall, we want to create the best possible environment for her team, the parents, the teachers, the students to flourish. And so I thank you for all of your concerns, your thoughts around this. We can now, I would like to see us continue to, as a committee, Trustee Weems, Trustee Ricento, let's start going back through this. We'll set up, I'll work with Colleen, I'll have some framework put together, and we can start thinking about a couple of those items through that lens, and our discussions can be formed around that. Might take a little longer for something to come into place and a decision to be made, but I'd rather take a little bit longer to make the best decision possible, assuming it's not some crisis event situation, and we should never make policy out of crisis. It's probably the worst time in which to do it, but it may take a minute longer to get something put into place, but we can feel real comfortable about it. And then if we are in agreement upon the framework, when all of us have moved on to other endeavors in life and new members have come on, this will be something that they can begin to pick up and use, and we can keep that consistency going in all of the areas. So that was basically the conclusion slide, but I can back up.
Thank you. And before we get to your point, I just wanted to mention two other things. One, would love to understand, and maybe the policy committee can think through this, a mechanism for how we get things onto that list. So that is the list as it stands right now. I will be honest, I failed to put one more thing on there, and it's related to standards-based grading.
Okay.
So several years ago, I want to say like 7 years ago maybe, we went through a process to move towards standards-based grading. And I'll be honest with you, I think we got maybe 50% of the way there. So the first step was to make sure that everyone was on the same page with respect to what is an A. Mm-hmm. Is it 90 to 100%, or is it 92 to 100%? Do we offer A pluses or B minuses and that sort of thing? Like, make sure that we're all on the same page within the same district and across elementary, across middle school, and within the building, classroom to classroom, because there were some differences. The second step was to make sure that within a group like English, all right, we're all going to consider grading in this way. So you can't be in Trustee Blau's class and she provides that 50% of her grade is based on homework, and same class and Mr. Hull says 20% is based on homework, right? So within the English department, we wanted to make sure that we've got consistency across, so that your grade's not based on homework, whereas mine is more based on assessments, right? So I think we did a little bit of that. And then the next step is, I think, making sure that, all classes are giving some consideration to alternative assignments where appropriate. Like, I think there's more work to do, is my point, around grading. Like, it shouldn't matter whose classroom you're in or which school you're in. We want to make sure that the education is the same. And I think we are all of the same mind, that we want to give young people the most opportunity to demonstrate that they've met proficiency, that they've met that they have opportunities to demonstrate that they can pass assessments. And so, like, understanding, again, in Mr. Hull's class, I have to finish all my homework before I can take another assessment. And in Mrs. Weems' class, I can't take assessments after a week. I'm done. I think we need to just make sure that that's happening across the board. I'm not sure if that's policy or protocol or admin regulations, but I do think that it's important enough for us to have a conversation around. And if it were me, it would be one of the things that I would sort of prioritize. So that's my last thought. And then you want to respond, and then Mrs. Blau.
I was just going to offer, for the time being, the mechanism to lift up any of your thoughts and concerns around policy would be to simply just email me, and then what we can begin to do is we can start a running list of future policy agenda items that can be a part of the minutes, and then based on a discussion that we can very easily put into the agenda, we can, especially if somebody's feeling really, really fired up about a particular aspect of policy, we can then have, at one of our board meetings, an opportunity to have some discussion around moving that up and replacing something that we're currently working on at that time. So I think that's probably the easiest way to do it and effective. Just email me. I'll work with Colleen. We'll get it on the agenda for the policy committee to take a look at, and then you'll see the agenda grow based on meeting minutes. Trustee Blau?
Two things. One is that my thinking is that it's likely something that's probably more administrative regulations, because as we're making these changes in how we're imagining school and the way that we're providing learning opportunities to our students, that the ways that we're assessing and reporting student learning progress is probably changing anyway as a result of that we're doing things differently in our classrooms. And so, again, we want to be careful not to be too specific, yes, prescriptive or specific in our policies in ways that would interfere with the growing and changing that we're doing, as a district. But that could also be a goal that we set for our superintendent.
Well, that's again why, I'm sorry if I interrupted.
No, it's okay.
Again, that's why it's very helpful and wonderful. Dr. Coffin is on the policy committee, so there's an opportunity to speak there. But again, if we go back to the framework, which I'm kind of proud of, it will force us to ask these questions.
Exactly.
Is what we're talking about something that is enforceable?
Right.
Is it something that is equitable along the way? What's the data behind it? If any, that suggests we should do it or we shouldn't do it,
right,
or to whatever level we should do it. We bring those things into the conversation, I think we're in a much better position to avoid missteps. Not that we've had any that I'm aware of, but I would like to not have any, at least not on my watch, as we go into the future.
Right. And as Ms. Weems, President Weems pointed out, allowing for alternative assessments too, and all those pieces too. So how do we, maybe we don't have to put in policy, we can leave it over there. But that's a discussion for, the policy committee. But I wanted to just shine a light on the fact that as a policy committee, you have begun to develop a cadence for ongoing review of our policies, because some boards think that, well, we review our policies and then we're done with that. But it's ongoing work, because things are always changing for us and at the state level and federally. And so it's I think, healthy for us to be on top of it and develop that ongoing cadence, so that then those who follow us already have that structure and that pattern in place to carry forward. So thank you to the policy committee for developing that.
Anyone else?
Any further feedback? Okay. Thank you for that presentation. I trust that the policy committee will consider everything that we talked about at the right governance level. So I don't think anyone wants us to put our administration in a square box. We want to set policy at the appropriate governance levels. So we'll never be too prescriptive, but I think that framing to give the district some guidance and some direction is kind of where we want to move directionally. With that said, thank you again for that presentation. I look forward to the next policy committee meeting. With that, we are moving to our second public comment area. If anyone who is interested in making public comment who did not have an opportunity to do it at our first public comment, this is your opportunity now. Is there anyone who wants to make public comment? I am not seeing anyone in the audience who wants to make public comment, so we will close that second public comment and move on to action items. As there are no action items, we'll move on to items from the treasurer. Trustee?
Yes, I move that the Board of Education approve the expenditures as outlined in the expenditure printout dated January 20th, 2026 as follows. General Fund, $16,828,000. General Fund Athletics, $169,430. Capital Projects 2023 Bond Fund, $139,177. Nutrition Services Fund, $439,942. Benefits Stabilization Fund, $1,402,379. Total, $18,978,928.
Support. Motion made by Trustee Heinrich, supported by Trustee Smith, to approve the expenditure report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Next, we have the consent agenda. Mr. Walker?
I move that the Board of Education approve the January 2026 consent agenda as follows. Item A, approval of minutes. Number 1, January 6th, 2026 regular meeting. Number 2, January 10th, 2026 board retreat. Number 3, January 15th, 2026 joint meeting. Number 4, January 16th, 2026 Finance and Facility Committee meeting. Item B, the Head Start Director's monthly report. And item C, personnel items.
Support. Motion made by Trustee Walker, supported by Trustee Smith, to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Are there any reports from board representatives? Seeing none, we will move on to adjournment. Thank you, board, and happy Board Appreciation Month. I appreciate again all of your service, and thank you for your engagement today. This meeting is adjourned.
Need a truck to back up. Take all this stuff.
Right.
Thank you very much.